Thank you for having me again.
Lauren is a trainer, coach, author of a book.
Right.
Lauren, help us have the most success while doing it.
Right. I'm going to try. What I was talking about was the fact that imposter syndrome and negotiation are such linked topics. And it is really fascinating to know that 60% of women, especially, never even dare to negotiate past the first offer that they're made. If there's an offer made to them, they just accept it without even thinking, what can I ask for that is better, different? What it has to do a lot with is having the confidence to know what you're worth. This is really, really key. I talk to a lot of people, I coach a lot of people who say, I'm not good at negotiation. That's a story. That's a story that you tell yourself that keeps yourself in a box. What you can say to yourself is, nobody has taught me how to be good at negotiation.
How to play the game.
So it is up to you to really teach yourself how to be good at this. And you say, how do I do that? Well, it is really about two key things, one of which is preparation. And the second thing is really practice. You may not be good the first time you do it. You will be good by the 10th time you do it. And it's like any skill in life, you really need to practice to get better. The way that you prepare, and the most important thing to prepare, is the confidence to know your own worth. And this may sound obvious, but a lot of people don't really think about, what am I bringing into this room that makes me the best candidate, the best person on the team, the best person to add value in this situation, the reason why you want to pay me more to keep me. All of those things you should be thinking about before you walk in the room. You can also do research for preparation on what are salaries like in this type of position in the market in general. So you will know walking in, hey, this is an offer that's on the low side of what I know is kind of the market value, and that can also help.
And maybe part of the research comes with investigate how your profile is unique.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like in the market, but also in that company.
Yes.
What value it's bringing in comparison with other ones.
This is also very cultural. In Europe, there tends to be a lot of discussion of your peers are making this because they want to keep everybody in the same rough band. In America or in North America in general, there's more sort of leeway that if you can really carve yourself out of space, then you can be seen as a high flyer and get paid more. In Europe, it's very much, well, this is markt conform, as they say in Dutch. This is market, the band of appropriate salary, which it is a thing that they tell each other and themselves to continue this sense of, I don't have to pay you more than other people. So it is exactly what you say. What value do you provide uniquely? Everyone provides value uniquely. Businesses don't hire you as a charity. You have a value that you uniquely bring. So it is really important to understand and quantify. So the quantification of your value is also very important. When you walk into a company and you can say, I made a company money, I saved a company money, I increased the use of resources, I improved the use, whatever that value is, really quantify it as much as possible, because companies think in the bottom line. They think about money, they think about resources, they think about value in that way. So you can be a really great person. That's not necessarily going to get you paid more or get you better benefits or get you the things that you want. So it is really important to think like a business and say, okay, how can I say this, my value, in a very concrete and quantifiable way? That really helps.
Another one, have clear what you want. Right?
Exactly. So important. So it is really important to not only fixate on money necessarily. So money is a lot of the way in which we think about our value, getting our value from the company. So I'm worth this amount of money. That's great. However, in a lot of cases, salaries are fixed. There's scales, there's sort of bands of salary. They say we can't go above this, salary, or you'd be in another level, and we can't do that. So think about what benefits would really go for really improving your life without necessarily adding a dollar value or a euro value to your salary. Examples are flexible work schedule, being able to work at home more often, having days off, or having days where you can do flexible work because you have childcare or something else. Schooling, courses, paying for business courses. Gym membership is even sometimes covered, things like that, where it can improve your quality of life without increasing that salary number. And a lot of people don't think about this. They really think the number on my paycheck is the only thing I care about. And you should really think about how can I make the quality of my work life better, as well as the number on my paycheck?
And we were talking about preparation, which is where 70% of a good negotiation happens: preparation, research, etc. And now, what happened when you're sitting in the negotiation, and something you talk about in your book, ceiling and floor?
Okay, yes. This is a really cool technique that you can use in any negotiation situation whatsoever, whether it has to do with your own salary or a sales opportunity or anything. Know before you walk in what your floor is and your ceiling is. What is the absolute lowest you are willing to go that would be worth it for you to take this opportunity, whatever the opportunity is? And the ceiling can really be, what is the number that's going to make you say, like, jump up and down with excitement and be so happy? And that is your floor, and that is your ceiling. And it is really key to know that the person sitting on the other side of the table also has a floor and a ceiling. And the offer that they make to you to begin with is almost always at their floor. So you are being offered the floor. And to not take the opportunity to get it above the floor is a missed opportunity, because they also have a ceiling. And they have two ceilings, actually. There is a ceiling that they can go up to in the room, and then there's a ceiling in which they have to go get permission from their manager. Now, that might be too scary to go for, but you really should understand that there is a number that they're comfortable going up to, even in the room at the moment. It is really fundamentally, it's very important to understand, it is a game. It is a game where you are playing, but it is not completely adversarial, because the person in front of you is a representative of the company, but is also a person. So you can choose to make it as adversarial as you want, but it does not have to be. So when you have a floor and you walk in and you have a floor and a ceiling, and they make you an offer and it is below your floor, you do not even have to engage them in discussion. Now, most people feel awkward about not engaging them in discussion, but it is really important to be able to produce evidence of your value. So you say, wow, that's too low. I really feel like I add value in the following ways, and I feel like that number should be more like, and now you can say something which maybe is in between your floor and your ceiling. I really encourage you to at least come back with a number. They will most likely come back with a number that is closer to their middle between their floor and their ceiling. Now, what is unfortunate is the person on the other side of the table is perhaps going to try to manipulate you emotionally. Oh, well, that's really putting us in a bad position. Your peers aren't making that. That's really, more than we would be. So really cranking up the emotional manipulation. And it is really important to know that this is not personal, and it is about business. And they're pulling out a tool from their toolbox to do better business. Yes, to defend their interest, because your business is protecting your own interest and making sure that that amount is something that you're happy with, not just can live with, but that you're happy with, and that you never, never, never go below your floor, because that is an active sacrifice of your rights and your good health and well-being.
And this is related with some topic which you are expert on it, imposter syndrome.
Yes.
How is this related and successful negotiation with people that suffers from imposter syndrome?
It is so interlinked, because what makes somebody good at negotiation is understanding their own value. And what imposter syndrome does is it impedes your ability to understand your own value. It makes you think that you are not worth as much as other people are. It tells you you are not good enough. And how can you walk into a room and say, I am good enough, when your head is saying you're not good enough? So what happens in a lot of cases, and again, every situation is unique, and I am not saying you have to negotiate for every situation, but I hear a lot from people who say, well, if I push back, if I ask for more money, they're going to take the offer away, or they're going to fire me, or I'm going to lose that opportunity, whatever that opportunity is. First of all, bullshit. Second of all, and I know this is hard to say, but if you were going to lose that opportunity because you pushed back even a little bit, that wasn't the right opportunity to take, period. If they can't handle even a little bit of negotiation, they're not a great place to be associated with. And I understand that for some people, they need a job. They just need a job. But if you are in a situation where you can assess a company, one of the things you should assess a company on is their ability to meet you in the middle on some things. And again, it doesn't all have to be about salary. It can be about benefits. So you say, okay, if the salary is fixed, I can't do anything about the salary. What can you do with me in terms of benefits and in terms of making my quality of work life better? So that should be actually also included in the test of, is this the right place for me? And if the person receives that and goes, okay, let's talk about that, let's have an open discussion about that, that's a good sign. If they become offended, if they get, oh, well, I don't know if we should be talking, and then that'll teach you something about your long-term success at the company, because what happens when you want to get more money, or you want to move up in the company, or anything else?
Grow.
Exactly. So I really encourage everyone to at least try to find ways to ask for more than they're given. Because when you walk in the room, you're at their floor. It's a really important thing to know. Back to imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is really telling you when you walk in that room, you are not good enough and you are lucky to be handed that offer. I would really encourage you to, as part of the preparation, to really do your work and remember what your value is. We talked about this before. You have a unique value. You are in the room with this opportunity because of your unique value. If you're not 100% sold on it, if you're not walking in and going, I am the best person for this opportunity, then you need to do the work. You need to really find that part of you that believes in yourself. Otherwise, you will, settle for what's given.
You have a quite practical tip in your book, your fan base. Can you explain it?
Yes. So one of the ways that I really encourage people to, if they really, and I know people who find it absolutely impossible to say nice things about themselves, which is just crazy. I mean, that's not crazy, but it's hard for me to believe that, these are wonderful people who just cannot find good things. There is at least one person, I guarantee you, who is your absolute number one fan and really believes in you and really has very specific positive feedback to give. And I really encourage people to ask their friends and family, what is it that you really see are my strengths? Because that is where you can start to build a list of things. Hey, I am good at these things. I am adding value to these people's lives. Family can't choose their family, but your friends choose who they spend their time with. And if you have friends who are spending their time with you, they see the value in you. So just ask them, just say, what do you see in terms of, it's even better if they're colleagues, if they've worked with you. If you're going into a work situation, then it's great to ask someone who you know well at work, like, hey, where do you see my value? Like, what are the things that you think I'm best at? Oh, you're really great at writing. You're always giving like really great analytical advice, really clear, like I can really understand your arguments. You're very good at kind of making something simple and explain it in a way that I can understand. All those things are incredible. Those are extremely valuable things that you can turn into things you can talk about in an interview. I work really well on a team because I can really help people get up to speed fast because I'm very good at explaining. Believe me when I tell you, with fast moving companies, that's a huge benefit. So it is a really nice thing that if you struggle to find the things to talk to yourself about that are really great, ask other people. Ask other people who are particularly fans of yours.
What is your point of view? Is it the same a negotiation when you are working in a corporation? The same as when you are working as a consultant or negotiating a deal with a customer?
Yeah, I am myself a consultant, and I'll tell you right now, it is in a way easier because I can always walk away. I can always just be like, well, we can't work this out, I'm out, and I never see that person again. It's fine. The hard thing that I actually find asking for a promotion or asking for a raise when you're already working for the company, probably the hardest thing to do, because it feels adversarial with colleagues that you're working with day to day, and you have to continue to work with them day to day. So you can't be as hardball, like, hey, I'm really going to be a hard negotiator here, as you would in another situation where you don't necessarily have to ever see these people again. And you can just be like, I can just be like, okay, well, we can't find the right middle ground. Let's go. In the case of when you are negotiating something where you're working at the company and you have to continue working with the company, it is really important to not forget that the person sitting across from you is a human being and you're a human being. And I like to talk about in the book about negotiation, I talk about ally and bridge language. It is about finding ways to say things so it's not you need to give me so that you're making a distance. It's like, what can we do about this? Can we discuss giving, what I need to do to get a promotion?
More about collaboration.
It's about collaboration. It's about, you are my ally in this situation. I'm going to bridge the distance that we have this table in front of us. I'm going to bridge that distance. If you were in my situation, what would you do to make this happen? That's a great example of something where you can humanize yourself to that person and you can see them as a human and talk to them like a person. And that can go a long way to not making it super awkward when you're sitting across from a manager who you have to work with the next day and you're going, hey, but you need to give me more money. No, how about what can I do to make it possible for me to get a salary increase? What are the metrics that you're looking at when you are looking at paying me more?
Yeah, it's not a battle, I will say.
Yeah,
it's a game.
It's a game. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like a game. It feels uncomfortable and awkward and weird. But it is actually a game. If you look at a game where you're really, sitting around a table with friends and in Monopoly or whatever these games you're playing, and you are like Clue. Clue is a great example. Cluedo or Clue. And you are keeping secrets. You're keeping secrets, but in a fun way of like, we're just playing. We're playing here. And so you can learn to really have fun with it.
What do you think about the phrase, people doesn't get what they deserve? They get what they negotiate.
Right. This is really important. It is really, really important to understand that there are very few fixed things in life. And I'm going to say something very awkward and weird and difficult, but the reason why men get paid more than women is because they believe in themselves and ask for it in most cases, period. It isn't like they're so much better at the job. It isn't like they deserve to earn more. It's not any of those things. It's because they believe in themselves and they ask for it, period. So we should be doing that. And what that takes, it's very important. The first thing I said was not they ask for it. It's they believe in themselves and they ask for it. Those are the two steps. If you do not believe in yourself, you will not ask for it. Or you'll ask for it in a really like awkward way that will be communicating from weakness and not from strength. So unfortunately, and this is the part where it's so inextricably intertwined with imposter syndrome, the first step has to be finding your value. You don't have to believe you're 100% a fantastic person, but you really have to understand your value, that you are in that room at that time asking for those things and that you deserve it. Then you can get it. I really do believe. You can't walk in and ask for $1 million, probably, but if you've done your research, you understand your value to the company, you know what you're bringing, you can get a lot more than you think you can.
And what would you say, like, definitely don't do in a negotiation?
I would say as much as possible, don't bring emotion into it. You can bring humor into it. You can not, it doesn't have to be super serious. Like you can be a normal person, but try not to, and this is the most difficult part, try not to take it personally. It is numbers on a page. It's numbers on a page. That's all it really is. The mistake that we make is equating our salary or our title or something in our job with who we are, like our value as people. That's not the case. So always remember that this person sitting across from you, their job, the reason they're hired, again, is to keep that profit margin high. And so that piece of it is not personal. This is not personal. And the only thing that's going to, change the percentage is you fighting for yourself, your own corner. But whatever they say, whatever techniques they use, whatever emotional manipulation they do, whatever thing they say, it's not personal. It's this number that they have to protect. And so really try to take emotion out of it. And I really encourage my clients always that you have the right to take a break at any time. If you're getting upset, if you don't feel like this is going well, if you feel like I'm really going to get upset right now, try as much as possible to not make it more adversarial than it needs to be. So really don't finger point, don't do the you should. It doesn't win you anything to make it a you and me thing. It really should feel like a we thing as much as possible. Let's us have a discussion. Let's you and I really meet in the middle and find a way to do this together, talk.
And you help your customers also with negotiations, with their personal negotiations?
Yes.
What is the hardest negotiation you have had with a customer?
With a customer? Okay.
Not you with a customer,
okay,
but a customer that had a tough negotiation.
It's all been pretty not tough for me. Okay. Like I've had some really tough ones. Like I've had people who have said, you are too American. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been told I was too American in discussions because I talked about this in the last interview. I was raised by a first wave feminist who's like that women and men are no different. Walk into the room like a man, walk into this. So I walk in and I'm like, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to go. And people are like, you're so American. And I am American. I am not so American. I'm just very clear. I'm very clear and confident that there's a difference there. You were expecting a woman, so you're probably expecting somebody's going to go, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, this is what I need. So yeah, I've had some difficult rooms. I've had some very difficult rooms myself. I can't think of any example of a really difficult negotiation, except I will say something, and this is anonymous because of course it has to be. I had a client who was very much like me, very, very straightforward, very clear, and she made her boss cry. Her boss started crying. This is a man who started crying in the room. And he said, "You are such a bitch." This was not a negotiation per se. She was just trying to say, "Hey, I deserve a promotion. Like I've been here for 3 years. I deserve a promotion." And he started crying and called her a bitch. And so at that point, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. 100%. 100%. 100%. So very much so. And that is why I always say, really try to err on the side of making it a we discussion and not a you and I discussion. Because when there's a real cultural difference, and there was in this case, then it's only another reason to feel separated and not together on this. And so the more that you can be, when that person is showing visible emotions, first of all, again, you can take the break for the other person. You can say, "Hey, maybe we should take a break for a minute." You don't have to make a big deal out of it, but let that other person have a break. I will say this, also know that that person crying can also be a technique to get you to back off. There's a difference between emotion and knowing what you deserve and knowing what you're going to ask for and believe that you deserve over here. Okay. So if you say, "I deserve this because of these reasons," and that person says, "No, you don't," that is no longer a factual discussion. That is now, you're now into emotions and opinions. What I say when I've had people, my clients, come into this situation, what I say is get them to be as fact-based as possible, because here's where you get the language that is, you're not professional enough, you're not strategic enough, you don't blend in the culture well enough. All of these things are bullshit, they're vague sticks to beat you with. So what I told them to do is get as concrete as possible. Great. What metrics are we going to measure professional on that I can make it to the next level? So what are your metrics for me doing something to prove my professionalism? Strategic. How can I prove to you in metrics that get facts? Otherwise, what that person is saying is just an opinion, and that's cultural based, and that's where the culture comes. So again, this is a generalization, but Dutch companies in particular and European companies in general are very focused on team orientation and culture fit. So if you don't fit well with the team, even if you're doing your own thing very successfully, you will get a lot of negative feedback. So I tell people, my clients, when they face that, understand what that person measures as successful on the metric of be more team oriented. Get them to be as concrete as possible. Then you go out and you prove how gosh darn team oriented you are. And then the next time you say, "Great, I have done these things. Look at how team oriented I am. Shall we discuss my salary?" So the squishy stuff is a stick to beat you with that they don't have to be concrete about. So make them be concrete. Otherwise you'll never win that battle. You'll never change someone's opinion. You'll only change the facts. That's it.
It's harder to change opinions than
it's basically impossible. Once somebody has decided you're not a good fit for whatever reason, I mean, I would argue probably it's better to just look for another job in that case. But it is also possible to change someone's minds if you say, "Okay, I didn't really understand that you were measuring me on this. This is the metric we're talking about. Great. Let's have ongoing conversations about how I can demonstrate more team orientation."
Lauren, you have given us great tips to have a successful negotiation. Where can we find you?
Yes, so I do have this ebook on negotiation, which I'm happy to give anyone. So if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, my email address is also available on LinkedIn. So please feel free to link to me. I'm always happy. And I'd be happy to send the ebook to anybody who wants it.
Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you.